What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Then We Eat. Last year around this time I made some habanero hot sauce. Let's kick it up about 700,000 scovilles. On this week's episode we're going to be making ghost pepper hot sauce. So the first thing we're going to do here today, we're going to put some gloves on. Do you need gloves? Not necessarily. But if you value your hands and your face and everything else, you're probably going to want to put some gloves on, because if you touch those peppers and then touch your face, especially your eyes, you're going to get badly burned. So the gloves is going to help protect your face and your hands. Just don't touch them with the gloves on either. Now, to start with, we're going to take 22 ghost peppers. We're going to cut the green ends off where they were attached to the plant. Then we're going to cut them in about half depending on the size, and get them ready to put them on the barbecue. Now I should mention, when we cut these in half, we are going to keep the seeds and all. This one I'm going to remove the seeds from. We're just trying to harvest some seeds so we can grow some more peppers next year. Okay, so there we have it. There's 22-ish ghost peppers cut in half, seeds kept in them. I say ish because I actually did a few extra. There's a couple that were pretty small, so I just did a couple extra to make up for the fact that they were a little smaller. So we're going to put those on a cookie sheet to get ready for the barbecue. In addition to ghost peppers, we're also going to do up 6 cloves of garlic. So I have a bunch of garlic here. These are bigger ones. I have some smaller ones that I already have on the cookie sheet. I'm just going to cut these ones in half. You don't want them too small or they will burn, but you don't want them massive either or they won't roast quite as well. A bunch of garlic cut in half. Throw that on our cookie sheet. Next, we need about a cup of carrots. We have fresh grown carrots here. I'm not even going to peel these because they're very fresh. We're just going to chop these up into about 1-inch rounds. So there you have it. Bunch of carrots cut into rounds. Once again, throw those on your cookie sheet. And now we also need 4 Roma tomatoes. We don't have Romas. These did come out of our garden though. They're a little bit smaller than a Roma. So I'm going to do 6. 4 Romas, 6 little tiny garden tomatoes. Either way, about the same. So we're just going to take our knife and kind of core them. Now that we've got them cored, we're just going to cut them into quarters. And once again, I'm sure you know the deal by now, onto the cookie sheet. And lastly, we've got 1 small sweet onion here. We're just going to cut these into probably rings or something similar to that, and they'll go on there as well. There you go, there's the onion. Basically what I did was I quartered it and then cut those quarters in half. So it ended up being in 8 chunks of onion, and once again, onto the cookie sheet. So there's our cookie sheet with all of our vegetables on it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put some olive oil onto the cookie sheet, toss it in olive oil. So there's a couple tablespoons of olive oil here. Now we're just going to toss everything, try to coat it as best we can. Alright, so there we have it. Tossed in oil, ready to go. So now we're going to throw this onto the barbecue at about 425-ish for 45-ish minutes. If you don't want to use the barbecue, that's fine. Same thing, 45 minutes at about 425-ish in the oven will do the trick as well. I just want to use the barbecue here today because you get a little bit more flavor from that charcoal barbecue. So I'm going to go ahead, throw these on the barbecue. We'll see you when they're finished. Okay, it's been about 45 minutes. As you can see, the peppers and onions and carrots and everything are well roasted and ready to go. So we've taken those off. We're going to now cook this in a pan for a few minutes, or a pot. Do not get close to it. I opened the barbecue and choked pretty bad. There's a lot of heat that comes off of these from the fumes, so just be careful. So over medium heat, we're going to add 1 cup of water, 6 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of salt, and to that we're going to add our pepper mixture. Now we're just going to let this come up to temperature and kind of boil away for a few minutes. I have to admit, my peppers and vegetables are a little more charred than I would have liked. Just going to give it a bit of a different flavor, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So what we're looking to do here is just make sure everything is nice and soft. Sometimes when you're roasting vegetables, they don't always roast at exactly the same speed. So if you just boil them away for a couple minutes, you'll make sure that everything is well cooked through and soft, which is going to make it easier when we go to blend it up. Okay, once you're confident that all the vegetables are nice and soft, we're going to take the pot off the heat, and we need to puree this into a sauce. So we're going to pour it into a food processor. and give it a puree. Now, this looks a little bit too thick for my liking, so I'm actually going to add a little bit more water to it as well. So I'm going to put it back into the pot, add a little bit of water, and then it should be ready to jar up. So I have a half a cup of water here. We are going to add more. I'm going to do it slowly until I get the consistency I'm looking for, and then it'll be good to go. So I ended up adding the full half cup. Once again, I have another half a cup, and once again, I'm just going to add it slowly until I find the consistency I'm looking for. Okay, so that's good there. I ended up adding about an extra 5 ounces of water. So let's give this a taste, see if we need to adjust it at all. It tastes a little bit too charred. So if you could avoid charring it as much, I would recommend that. Otherwise, if you're looking for a hot sauce, you've definitely got one in this. Okay, so I'm not sure if I left it in the video or not, but it is a little warm and it did give me the hiccups for a few minutes, so we're all, well, no, we're not good as you just saw, but we're gonna carry on. So the next thing we're gonna do is jar it up. So much like if you're pickling anything, you've got to boil the jars. So I've already done that off camera to make sure they're nice and sanitary. So I'm gonna pull those out now and we'll get them ready to jar up the hot sauce. Okay, so let's get a couple of jars done and then I'll finish the rest off camera and we'll be back when we're finished. So I have a ladle here. I'm just going to take the ladle and I have a funnel and I'm just going to ladle it into the funnel. I just don't want the hot sauce to touch the top of the jar if I can avoid it. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. You don't want to fill the jar all the way to the top. You want to make sure there's a gap at the top because when you go to put your sealing lid on, if it's at the top, the hot sauce is hot enough it could actually eat through the lid of the jar. So let's finish the second jar here. So there we have it. There's 2 done. So I'm just going to take these 2 lids here. I'm going to dip them in my hot water off to the side for just a minute or so. Let them get up to temperature. What you're looking to do, you don't want to boil them for a long time because you'll boil that rubber down. But you do want to kind of soften the rubber a little bit so that it kind of forms around the jar and it'll stick on there nice, which will give it that nice seal you're looking for. So that should be good. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a paper towel with vinegar. We're gonna rub the edge of the jar just to make sure there's nothing on top, because if you have anything on top of the jar, even a chip on the jar or something, it will not seal properly. Just like that. Sealed lid for that one. Sealed lid for that one. And then you're going to want to screw your top lid on. And again, just kind of hand tight. It doesn't need to be cranked on there or anything like that. So just like that, that should be good. And now I'll finish the rest of them and we'll be back when they're all full. So just before we sign out for today's video, we do have to process these jars. Basically what you're going to do, you're going to put about this much water in a pot and you're going to boil these away for just a minute or 2. All you're looking to do is kind of create a bit of pressure within that jar so that that lid will suck down and squeeze tight and give you that nice firm seal that you're looking for. You'll know the jars are sealed when the top here, you can kind of see it. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a spot in the middle where when they're not sealed, it sticks up. When they are sealed, that will be pushed down, and this noise that you're hearing, you won't be able to hear anymore because it'll be pushed down and it'll be firm. Okay, so there we have it. I ended up with 8 jars. There's 2 hiding back here. The pyramid didn't work as well if I put them on there, so I just hid them behind. So, that's that. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell to be notified when we upload next. We upload a new video every Friday at 6 a.m. Share the video with all of your friends and comment down below. What kind of hot sauce would you like to see us make next? Or better yet, is there another recipe you'd like to see us make? Oh, and don't forget, first we cook, then we eat. So good. And so bloody hot!